Today I'm going to show you how you can make your very own Felicity Fox. This is a project best suited for intermediate crocheters and above, but I'm going to walk you through the entire process from the very beginning to the very end. To make Felicity, you're going to need a few things. I'm using a sport weight yarn. This is YarnArt Jeans. It's a cotton acrylic blend, but you could use a different yarn brand, but I do recommend a cotton or cotton blend. And I used 7 different colors to make Felicity. I used a pink color, brown, blue, mustard yellow, cream, orange, and black. The other supplies you're going to need are a 2.5mm crochet hook, a yarn needle for weaving in your ends, a pair of scissors, black and white embroidery floss, or you can use yarn to embroider the facial features. You're going to need polyfill stuffing, 6mm safety eyes, and stitch markers. One thing to note when you are crocheting a toy that has removable clothing is that even if you're using the exact same yarn, you're using the exact same hook, sometimes the clothing can turn out too big or too loose. So as you're making little Felicity's dress, I do recommend trying it on as you go. And if you're noticing that it's too tight, go up in crochet hook size. And if it's too loose, go down in crochet hook size. But with this particular yarn, I haven't had any issues with that happening, but I have had it happen with other yarns, and it depends on the color because some colors are thicker and thinner, and that can change the size of the clothing. I'm going to be walking you through every single step in this video, and I will also put the written directions on the screen. But I also have the full written instructions on my website, which I will leave a link to. But I also have an ad-free printable pattern available on Etsy and Ravelry, which I will also link in the description box. So let's get started. So we're starting the brown color because we are actually going to be making the shoes first, and we're actually going to be starting on the very bottom, and we're going to be working around the chain. So the first thing that we're going to do is make a slip knot, and we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The first thing we're going to do is make a slip knot, and then we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now for round 1, we're going to start in the second chain from the hook. So you never count the loop that's on your hook. There's the first chain and there's the second chain, and we're going to make a single crochet. And I like to go through that top loop and the back bump and make 1 single crochet. Now let's make sure that we mark that stitch with our stitch marker. So then we're going to do a single crochet in the next 2 stitches so that we'll have a total of 3 single crochet. 1 and 2. So that was a total of 3. And then we have 1 stitch left, and we're actually going to do 3 single crochet in our last stitch. So we're increasing here. 1, 2, and I'm going to move my tail over, and 3. So we've naturally worked to the other side of the chain, the underside. And so we're going to be working into those loops that are the bottom of our chain, our beginning chain. And so we're just going to do 2 single crochet, 1 and 2. And then we have 1 chain left, and we're going to increase. We're just going to make 2 single crochet in that last stitch. So we should have 10 single crochet. Let's count and make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So for round 2, we're starting with an increase. So in that very first stitch, we are going to make 2 single crochet. But I'm always going to mark the first one. Then we're going to do 2 regular single crochet, just meaning 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches. Then we're going to increase again. And then we're going to do 1 single crochet, then another increase, two single crochet, 1, 2, and then we should have 2 stitches left, and we're going to increase in both of them. And at the end of that round, you should have 15 stitches. Okay, we're starting round 3, and we're beginning again with an increase. Marking that first stitch. Then we're going to single crochet 4 times. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then we're going to increase. And then we're going to do 2 single crochet, 1 and 2, and then we will increase again. And then we will do 4 single crochet, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we should have 2 stitches left, and we're going to increase in both of them. And at the end of this round, you should have 20 stitches. So we're starting round 4, and we're beginning with 2 increases. Let's mark that first stitch before I forget. Make another single crochet in the same stitch, and then we're increasing again. And then we're going to do 5 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we're going to increase. And then we're going to do 2 single crochet, 1 and 2. And then we're going to increase again. And then we're going to do 6 single crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then we're going to increase just once. And then we have 2 stitches left, and we will do 1 single crochet in each one of those. So at the end of this round, you should have 25 stitches. For round 5, we're just going to single crochet in the back loops only of each one of our stitches. And if you look at your stitches, they form a V just like this, and this is the back loop. And this is creating the turn for our shoe. So we have our little bottom sole, and we need it to turn our work so that it works up now. So we're going to go all the way around all 25 stitches in that back loop only. So go ahead and finish that, and we'll meet back for round 6. We are starting round 6, and the first thing that we're going to do is, you may notice that your little shoe piece is turning in on itself like that, and we need to start turning it the right side out. So we're going to make 11 single crochet, and we're going through both loops now. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Then we're going to increase. Then we're just making 2 single crochet, 1 and 2, another increase, and then we'll just do 10 normal single crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. For round 7, we're beginning with 11 single crochet again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And now we're going to be decreasing, and we're going to be doing the invisible decrease. And remember, we talked about the V of a stitch. We are just going to be picking up the front loops when we do an invisible decrease. So we're going to be decreasing 4 times, which means we're working over 8 stitches. So we're going through the front loop of the first stitch, front loop of the second stitch. So you've got those 2 loops there. Yarn over, pull through both of them. Yarn over and pull through. So that was our first decrease. Then we do the same thing just in the front loops of those next 2 stitches and make a single crochet. So that was 2. Three, and our last one, just in the front loops. Now you should have 8 stitches left, and we're just going to single crochet in each one of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And you should have 23 stitches at the end of this round. All right, for round 8, we are starting with 10 single crochet. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And now we're going to be doing 3 decreases. We're doing those invisible decreases again. We're just going into those front loops of those next 2 stitches, yarning over and pulling through. So 1, 2, and 3. And now we should have 7 stitches left, and we're just going to single crochet in each one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And at the end of this round, you should have 20 stitches. For round 9, we're starting with 9 single crochet. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And now we're going to do 2 decreases. So we'll just go into the front loops of those next 2 stitches. And then this is our second decrease. And then we should have 7 single crochet left. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And at the end of this round, you should have 18 stitches, and it's looking like a little boot. I'm going to go ahead and make a little base for my shoe with the cardboard. This is just a cereal box, and I find that this works really well.
To make the bottom of the shoe look nice.
Let's see if this fits inside. Yeah, it fits perfectly. And I would go ahead and just cut your second one now, and that way they're exactly the same and you don't have to think about it again. All right, for round 10, we are going to start with 8 single crochet. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And now we're going to do 3 single crochet together. So this is the way I do it. I don't know if it's technically correct, but this is how I do it. So we're going into the first 2 stitches, those front loops. We're going to yarn over, pull up, and then we'll go into that third stitch just in the front loop, pull up the loop, and pull through all 3. And now we should have 7 single crochet left. In this next stitch, you kind of want to pull it a little bit just to kind of close up that hole. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And at the end of this round, you should have 16 stitches left. For round 11, we are just going to be single crocheting in each one of those 16 stitches. So go ahead and finish this round, And at the end of this round, we are going to change to the cream color for the legs. So meet me back for the last stitch of this round. So we have our last stitch for round 11, and I'm just going to begin working on it like as normal. And then instead of pulling through, I'm going to pull through our cream color to finish the stitch. Now for round 12, we're just going to be single crocheting in the back loop of each one of these stitches. And just go ahead and do a couple of these, and we're going to tighten up these ends. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to cut the brown because we're done working with that. And what I like to do is I just tie a little knot at that color change, just because it secures it, it makes it look nice and neat, and I don't have to worry about it. And then I'm just going to stick those little ends down into the shoe. And now just finish round 12 in the back loops, and we'll meet back for round 13. This is a good time before we start round 13 to just begin stuffing the foot. So now for rounds 13 through 30, you're just going to single crochet in each one of your 16 stitches. It's pretty simple. Just keep track of each round. And we'll meet back once you've finished round 30 of the leg. And I would just stuff the leg a little bit at a time as you are making the rounds. Once you've finished round 30, this is what your leg is going to look like. And we're going to go ahead and bind off. And we can take our little stitch marker out. And what we're going to do now is we're going to make leg number 2 exactly the same, except for one thing. When you finish round 30, you're not going to fasten off. We are going to continue by joining to leg 1. So let's meet back for the last round, round 30 of leg number 2, and I'll show you how we're going to join them. So I just finished round 30 of our second leg. So if you haven't completed that round, go ahead and do that right now, but do not bind off because we need to join our 2 legs together. Now, what I'm going to do is I need to join the middle center of leg 2 to the middle center of leg 1, but we're not quite in the center middle part. So what we're going to do, I'm going to take out my stitch marker, and I'm going to crochet 1, and I'm going to crochet 1 more. Now I am right in the middle center. Now we're going to now mark this as our new first stitch in the round. We're just moving it over. Now we're going to locate, just eyeballing that middle center of our first leg. Just make sure your toe is facing forward, and it looks like it's right here. So we're going to join with a single crochet right there. Now our legs are joined. So remember that our legs have 16 stitches each. We've already done 1 single crochet on leg 1, so we need to complete this all the way around. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and it's always awkward going over that last stitch in the round. but just do your best. I just try to hold the tail, and I just pull that tail a little bit to secure it even more. That was 8. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So we're ready to join the back side now on the legs. But remember, we've already made 1 single crochet over here on leg 2. So we only have to finish this round with 15. I hope that makes sense. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. So our legs are joined now, and just make sure and count that you have 32 stitches in total. That was round 31, and now we're moving on to round 32, and we're going to be doing 7 single crochet increasing, and we're going to repeat that 4 times all the way around. And at the end of this round, you're going to have 36 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, increase. And then we're going to repeat that. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, increase. So go ahead and finish that all the way around, and we'll meet back for round 33. One thing to note is that for round 32, it is extremely easy to get off on your counts, especially in those joins at the front and the back. So it's not uncommon to have to do it a couple of times to make sure. So for round 33, we're doing 5 single crochet increase. We're going to do that 6 times, and at the end of this round, we're going to have 42 stitches. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, increase. Let's do that one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, increase. So go ahead and finish round 33 and we'll meet back for round 34. So for rounds 34 through 37, you're just going to single crochet in each one of those 42 stitches. So go ahead and finish rounds 34 through 37. That's 4 rounds, and we'll meet back for round 38. So we're on round 38, and we're just going to be single crocheting in each one of these stitches, but at the back, right in the center back, we are going to go ahead and change to our orange color. So this number will vary. For me, it's going to be 22 stitches. It might be 21 stitches. It could be 23 stitches. All we really want to do is just get to the center back so that we can change colors. All right, so I'm going to go ahead, change my color here. And finish the round with orange. I finished round 38 and I'm going to go ahead, trim the off-white color, and then I'm just going to tie a knot here to secure those two ends. We'll just tuck them down into the leg. Now for rounds 39 and 40, you're just going to single crochet in each one of the stitches. And we'll meet back for round 41. So for round 41, we are going to do 5 single crochet decrease. And we're going to do that 6 times all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and we're doing that invisible decrease again, just going into the front loops. Let's do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and decrease. So continue that all the way around, and at the end of round 41, you're going to have 36 stitches. Now for rounds 42 and 43, we're just going to single crochet in each one of our 36 stitches. So go ahead and do those 2 rounds and we'll meet back for round 34. 44. This is rounds 42 and 43. Just single crocheting in each one of those stitches. For round 44, we're going to do 4 single crochet decrease. 1, 2, 3, 4, decrease. 1, 2, 3, 4, decrease. So go ahead and finish that repeat all the way around, and at the end of round 44, you will have 30 stitches. So before moving on, this is actually a very good time to make sure that the legs are stuffed really well, and especially where the legs join to the body. So for round 45, we are just going to single crochet in each one of the 30 stitches. So go ahead and finish this round, and we'll meet back for round 46. Moving on to round 46, we're going to do 3 single crochet decrease, 2, 3, and decrease. 1, 2, 3, and decrease. So go ahead and finish this round, and at the end you're going to have 24 stitches, and we'll meet back for round 47. We're moving on to rounds 47 and 48, and all we're going to do is single crochet in each stitch, all 24 of those stitches. And so go ahead, do those 2 rounds, and we will meet back for round 49. So we're on to round 49, and this is another decrease round. And we're just going to do 2 single crochet decrease. But we are always going to mark that first stitch. 1, 2, and decrease. 1, 2, decrease. And you're going to continue that pattern all the way around, and at the end you're going to have 18 stitches. For round 50, we're just going to single crochet in each one of the 18 stitches, but the only thing we're doing different is at the back, we are going to change colors back to that off-white. And now, go ahead, change colors. And then just finish the round with your off-white. Before moving on to round 51, I'm going to go ahead and secure our color change here. That way I don't have to think about it again. And stick them down inside. So for round 51, we are just going to single crochet in each one of these 18 stitches. Mark that first stitch. So go ahead and finish this round, and we'll meet back for round 52. Believe it or not, we have finished the body for Felicity Fox, and what we're going to go ahead and do now is just stuff this body part. You don't have to fully stuff it, but it's a good idea to make sure that you've got a good amount of stuffing in here. And that her tummy is nice and full. All right, moving on to round 52, we are going to increase in each one of our stitches. So this is the beginning of the head. So you're just going to do 2 single crochet in each one of those 18 stitches. And at the end, we're going to have 36 stitches. So go ahead and do those increases all the way around, and we'll meet back for round 53. All right, for round 53, we're going to be increasing again, but we're going to do 5 single crochet, then increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and increase. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, increase. So continue that all the way around, and at the end of round 53, you're going to have 42 stitches. For round 54, we're going to do 6 single crochet increase, and we're going to do that 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, increase. And at the end of this round, we'll have 48 stitches. All right, we're on to round 55, and we're going to be doing 7 single crochet increase. Always mark that first stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then we're going to increase. And you're going to continue that 5 more times around, and at the end of this round, you'll have 54 stitches. So let's meet back for round 56. For rounds 56, 57, and 58, you're just going to single crochet in each one of those 54 stitches. So go ahead and do those rounds 56 through 58, and we will meet back for row 59, round 59. So for round 59, we're going to be doing increases on the sides of the face right here, and that gives it a little bit of that foxy look. And so we're just going to start off by doing 20 single crochet. Always marking our first stitch. And this is really why this is so important, so that you get your counts correct in the pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Now we're going to increase in the next 3 stitches. So we'll just do 2 single crochet in each one of the next 3 stitches. So there was my first increase, second increase, and third increase. Now we're going to do 24 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. Now we're going to increase again in the next 3 stitches. 1 and 2. That was our first increase. Second increase and third increase. And then we have 4 stitches left, and we'll just do regular single crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And at the end of this round, you should have 60 stitches. So for round 60, we're just going to be single crocheting in each one of those 60 stitches, but we are going to change the color back to orange at the back of the head. And for those of you who are wondering why we're not doing the color change right here in the front, I actually did try that when I was designing her, and the color change looked so off. Even though we covered it with the snout, it just never looked right because there was the white and then the orange, and it looked off kilter. So that's why I just decided to do it in the back, and I think it's just fine. Those color changes really don't bother me. There are some techniques that you can look up on YouTube for how to make neater, less noticeable color changes, but honestly, they just don't bother me. But you do you. So I'm just crocheting until I'm in the center back, and that's when I will change the color. All right, so I will go ahead, change back to the orange. And then we'll just finish the round with our new color. And we will meet back for round 61. For round 61, we're just going to single crochet in each one of those stitches, but I'm going to go ahead and secure my color change here, and that way I don't have to worry about it again. So go ahead and do round 61, just single crocheting in each one of those 60 stitches, and we'll meet back for round 62. So we're on to round 62, and we're actually going to be decreasing where we did those cheek increases. So we're just going to do 20 single crochet, and then we're going to decrease. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Now we're going to decrease 3 times. So we'll just do those invisible decreases by going into those front loops. 1, 2, and 3, and then we'll single crochet 24. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. And then we're going to decrease again 3 times. 1, 2, 3, and you should have 4 single crochet left. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now we have 54 stitches. For rounds 63 through 67, we're just going to single crochet in each one of these stitches. So that's 5 rounds. So let's meet back for round 68. So we are going to go ahead and add our safety eyes, and we're going to do this at round 62. So we just finished round 67. Then the next line is 66, 65, 64, 63, 62 is right here. Now, what I kind of like to do is locate that center spot, right in the middle here. And we want these stitches to be between 9 and 10 stitches apart. That's where we want our eyes. So I'm going to go 4 to 5 spaces over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now I'll count back this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this looks pretty good. I like where they are. So I like using a safety eye tool to help me. This is the Craft Easy safety eye tool. It helps me with just getting these on secure, but you don't need it. All right, there we are. So I'm going to actually take a pause on working on the head because I find that doing the facial features while the head is still open is so much easier. So I'm going to go ahead and make the snout and attach it right now while the head is open. So for the snout, we are starting with a magic ring. And if you have any problems making the magic ring, I will leave a link for a tutorial that I made so that you can learn how to do it yourself. But we're going to make 6 single crochet in the magic ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We'll go ahead and close it. For round 1, we're just going to do 1 single crochet in each one of these stitches. Go ahead and mark that stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now, your snout is trying to curl in on itself, so we'll go ahead and we will make sure that we have the right side out. And I like to use my little stuffing tool to help me, especially when we only have 6 stitches here. There we go. For round 2, we're going to do 1 single crochet increase, and we'll do that 3 times. Now we're increasing. One single crochet, increase, one single crochet, and increase. Can be tough when you're only working with a handful of stitches to get this part started. For round 3, we're just doing 2 single crochet increase, and we'll have 12 stitches at the end of this round. 1, 2, increase, 1, 2, increase, 1, 2, increase. For round 4, we're doing 3 single crochet increase. 1, 2, 3, increase, 1, 2, 3, increase, 1, 2, 3, and increase. and you should have 15 stitches now. Now for round 5, we're doing something just a little bit different. We're going to do 5 single crochet, one, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now we're going to do 5 increases. 1, first increase. Let's do our second one. Second. Here's our third. Fourth. And 5th increase. And then we have 5 stitches left, and we'll just do regular single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now I'm going to slip stitch to the next stitch. So now we are going to fasten off, and we're going to leave a long tail so that we can sew our snout onto the face. So now we're going to be making what I call a snout cap. And this is this little black piece that goes on the very end of the snout. And so I'm just using this black color. This is actually a little bit more like a charcoal. And we're going to start with a magic ring again. And this time we're going to make 7 single crochet in a magic ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So we're going to close our magic ring. And then what we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch to the first stitch in our magic ring here. We're just going to slip stitch. And then we're going to fasten off again. We're going to leave a nice long tail for sewing it onto the head. Just pull it all the way through. And then I like to tighten that initial magic ring with our tail here and make sure that it is facing right side out. I'm going to just quickly weave in my tail from the magic ring. I find that it just makes it just a little more secure. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just want to make this a little bit secure. And then that way we can trim this end. There we go. And now I'm just going to trim off our end here. So now I'm just going to push our little snout cap right side out. And all we're going to do is fit it over the end of our snout. And where we made those increases on the off-white part is where the top of the snout is. And so I like to take the end here and I like to have that facing down. And I am going to pin it on just to help out a little bit. There we go. All right. So I am going to take my needle into the next stitch. And then I'm going to go into the snout. And now go up into the next stitch. Go down the next stitch and through the snout. I can go ahead and remove my pin. So we're just going all the way around the snout. And securing it to the face. Or the snout cap to the face, I mean. There we go. Doesn't that look so cute? And I am going to just secure this just really easily, nothing fancy. I just don't want it to come undone. Okay, so now we're ready to go ahead and add our little snout onto the face. And I like to just trim these ends from inside our snout just because they're a little bit long and I'm not going to be able to completely stuff them inside. But we're going to use these as a little bit of stuffing. So we're just going to look for those increases that we did here. We did those 5 increases. So I can see them right here. And so this looks like the center. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that is going to be where I am going to place my little snout. All right, so I am going to secure this. That way it doesn't move around as I'm trying to sew on the snout. So I have my snout exactly where I want it. I've pinned it on, and do not be afraid to do this and then take it out and do it again. That's what I do all the time. I rarely get it right the first time. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my needle and just bring it to the next stitch. And then I'm just going to go down into the face. And I'm trying to match my stitch tension to my actual stitches. Then we'll come up. So I don't want it to be too tight or too loose. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and remove that. It's kind of getting in my way now. I find that doing this before the head is closed is so much easier than waiting for the head to be closed, and then I just don't think it looks quite as neat. All right, so we're going to leave a little spot here so that we can give a little bit of stuffing. We don't need much. Now we can finish up and close that last stitch. And our snout is on. And you can use your hands to shape it and to move it the way that you like. I kind of like to try to turn that snout up just a little bit, that little snout cap. That looks so cute. So we're just going to do the little embroidery for the snout. And this is just a strand of my yarn. And my yarn, I can easily separate the plies. but you could also just use embroidery floss, but I don't recommend using a full strand of yarn. It just doesn't typically turn out quite as neat. You want a little bit thinner. So we're just going to go straight into the center of our snout, the bottom of it. And we're just going to do a straight line down. There, that's how simple it is. And I am going to secure this back here just because these can easily come apart and they can pull out pretty easily. You just want to make sure it's not showing on the other side. And I'll do that for both ends. The other thing that you can go ahead and do is embroider the little eyes. I've used some white here, a little black right there, and made teeny tiny little eyebrows. So I added a little bit of white embroidery to the bottom of the eyes. I stuffed all of the ends down inside the head, and we're ready to continue on with our head, and we're moving on to round 68. And I always feel such a sense of accomplishment. I'm always happy when I go ahead and just get the embroidery done. So we're going to do 7 single crochet decrease. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and decrease. So you're going to continue that all the way around, and at the end of round 58, no, not 58, 68, you're going to have 48 stitches. So we're on round 69, and we're going to do 6 single crochet decrease, and we're going to do that 6 times around. And from this point forward, we're just going to be decreasing every round to close the head. So that was 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and decrease. So go ahead and complete that repeat all the way around, and at the end of this round, you're going to have 42 stitches. So now we're starting round 70, and we're just doing 5 single crochet decrease. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, and decrease. So go ahead and do that 5 more times, and at the end of this round, you will have 36 stitches. All right, starting round 71, I bet you can guess what we're doing. We're going to do 4 single crochet decrease. 1, 2, 3, 4, and decrease. And we're just going to do that all the way around. And at the end of this round, you'll have 30 stitches. Before we move on to round 72, we need to start stuffing the head. The head is going to require the most amount of stuffing, and I also like to make sure that the neck part is really nice and secure and fully stuffed. One place that I want to particularly focus on are those increases that we did on the cheeks. I even like to push them out a little bit with my stuffing tool, and that way they're really accentuated and you can really see those little fox features. So go ahead, don't fully stuff the head, but give it a nice good start. So for round 72, we are doing 3 single crochet decrease, and we're going to do that 6 times. Oh, where did that go? That thing went flying. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and decrease. And at the end of this round, you're going to have 24 stitches. So just repeat that all the way around and we'll meet back for round 73. We're on to round 73 and we're going to do 2 single crochet decrease. One, 2, decrease. 1, 2, decrease. So go ahead and finish doing that repeat all the way around. At the end of this round, you'll have 18 stitches. I'm going to begin adding a bit more stuffing now. And you want to make sure that your stuffing fills any gaps. And so it's a really good idea to feel around the head with your hands on the outside, and you'll feel those pockets. Like I have very little stuffing. I have a good amount over here, but almost none over here. And the head is going to take so much more stuffing than you think it will. And I like to really fill those cheeks out where we did those increases. We are on to round 74 and we're going to do 1 single crochet decrease. And it's really hard not to get the stuffing mixed up in the stitches, so I try really hard to push the stuffing away so that it is not getting trapped in those stitches. 1, and then we're doing our decrease here. One single crochet and decrease. So go ahead and complete that all the way around, and at the end of round 74, you will have 12 stitches. We are on to round 75 and we are going to decrease all the way around. So we're going to decrease 6 times and take those 6 stitches or those 12 stitches down to 6 stitches. And I find that this is the most challenging round. It's just awkward. And I try to get my stitches as tight as I possibly can. And I do like to mark this stitch. That way I just know when to stop decreasing. 1, 2, oops, I missed it. There we go. 3, 4. Remember to breathe. I always stop breathing when I'm doing this round. 5, Okay. And then we have 2 stitches left. And these are going to be the hardest. 1 and 2. Yay, there we go. But now before we close this, we need to add that last little bit of stuffing. You'd be surprised how much more you can actually fit in here, even when you think it's fully stuffed. So just go ahead and add that, and then we will come back to close our head. Now I like to just take my hand and shape the head nicely. Just use your eyes and your hands to really feel for any gaps, anywhere that you may need to add a tad bit more stuffing, because this is your last chance. The other thing I like to do is just pinch the little cheeks where we did those increases to really magnify that foxy look. Now we are going to fasten off, and we're going to take our yarn needle, thread it, and we're going to go into the front loops of every single one of those 6 decreases that we did. Then we're going to pull it all the way closed. There we go. Now I like to go back into that center and then not pulling it too tight, but enough that it makes it where it doesn't have a little peak there. And then I'm just going to go across. And I'm really careful not to pull too tight so that it blends in really nicely with the stitches. I'm going to go across one more time. There we go. And then we're going to trim off that piece. All right, we've gotten the head and the body done, and we've done the hard parts. So we are moving on to the ears, and we're starting with our black color, and we're going to make a magic ring. And we're going to make 6 single crochet in that magic ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then we'll go ahead and close our magic ring. For round 1, we're going to do 1 single crochet, mark that stitch, and then we're going to increase. And it can be really, really hard to see your stitches when you're doing this color, this dark color. So we're just going to repeat that around, and at the end of this round we'll have 9 stitches. Increase, 1 single crochet, and increase. Well, I didn't look at my own direction, so we're going to take out that last stitch because we're going to change to the orange color. So that last increase stitch, we will just go ahead and change to orange. There we go. Now for round 2, we're going to do 2 single crochet increase. 1, 2, and then increase. 1, 2, and increase. One, two, and increase. So after this round, you should have 12 stitches. I'm going to go ahead and cut the black and just tie a knot to secure that color change. Now for round 3, we're going to do 3 single crochet increase. One, two, three, increase, one, two, three, increase. So go ahead and finish this round, and at the end you're going to have 15 stitches. For round 4, we're going to do 4 single crochet increase. One, two, three, and 4, and then increase. So go ahead and finish that repeat all the way around. You'll have 18 stitches, and we'll meet back for round 5. For round 5, we're going to do 5 single crochet increase. One, two, three, 4, 5, increase. So go ahead and do that 2 more times, and at the end of this round, you'll have 21 stitches. So for round 6, we're going to do 6 single crochet increase. One, two, three, 4, 5, and 6, and then we're going to increase. So go ahead and complete that repeat all the way around, and at the end of this round, you'll have 24 stitches. For round 7 and 8, you're just going to single crochet in each one of the 24 stitches. So go ahead and finish these 2 rounds, and we will meet back to join them to the head. Before you fasten off, the thing that I like to do with the ears is just to slip stitch to that first stitch in the round. It just helps to soften the change that is between the beginning of the round and the end, that kind of bump there. But make sure to leave a nice long tail so that we can use it to sew on the ears. But go ahead and make your second ear. I've gone ahead and pinned one of the ears on, but what we're going to do is we're going to take our little ends here. We're just going to stuff them inside our ear. Now the back of the ear is going to be where our tail is, and we just want to fold it so that is in the center of the back. And we can turn our ear over just like this. And what we're going to do is we are going to place the ear. If you count our rows right here, these ridges, we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we're going to place it 4 ridges up. 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's where the bottom of our ear is going to go. And I like to slightly curve it a little bit. I think it looks really nice that way. I'm going to pin it in place and just see if we are symmetrical. So I'm going to hold. I think I need to come forward just a little bit. There we go. And then place another pin. And just make sure that everything looks symmetrical, everything looks even on all sides before we go ahead and sew on the ears. I think my ear is just a little further back, so let me move it forward just a smidge. Okay, I think we are good. When sewing on the ears, my goal is to make the seams as invisible as possible. So I'm going to take our needle and I'm going to split the stitch, the V. I'm going in between our stitches here. And then I'm going to go across this direction, 1 stitch, and come up. And then I'm going to split that next stitch and just come up that front loop. So you can see that the loop is right here. And then I'm going to go back down the other side and then cross on the head. So this is how I'm going to do it all the way around the ear, just 1 stitch at a time. So go ahead and finish sewing on your first ear and then finish the second one, and we will move on to the arms. Little Felicity now needs some arms, and these are super simple and quick to make. We're going to be making these with our orange color. And so we're going to start off by making a magic ring. And then we're going to make 5 single crochet in the magic ring. Let me say that again. We're making 5 single crochet in the magic ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we'll close that up. For round 1, we're just increasing in each one of the 5 stitches so that we're going to have 10 stitches in this round. And we're going to mark our first stitch. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So for round 2, we're just going to single crochet in each stitch. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So our little arm is starting to curl in on itself, and so I'm just going to turn it right side out, pull that ring super closed, and we're moving on to round 3. For this round, we are going to be making the little thumb, and I'll show you exactly how to make it. It's super simple, but we're just going to start with 1 single crochet. Mark that stitch. And now for the thumb, we're doing a 3 double crochet bobble. And basically you're just making 3 single crochet. No, we're making 3 double crochets, but we're not completing the last step. So I just yarned over. Let me show that one more time. Yarn over, put it into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up. You have 3 loops, yarn over, and pull through the first 2 only. We're going to repeat that again, yarn over, go back into the same exact stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. We now have 4 loops, yarn over, pull through only 2. And now we're making our 3rd double crochet, yarn over, go back into the exact same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. And now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 loops, yarn over, pull through 2. And so you should have 4 loops on your hook, yarn over, and pull through all 4. And now we're just going to single crochet in the remaining 8 stitches. And our little thumb right here is going to turn inside out for right now, and that's okay. We're going to fix that. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So for rounds 4 through 18, we're just going to single crochet in each one of the stitches. That's 15 rounds. But the first thing that we need to do is to get our little thumb in the correct direction. It's inside out right now. So I'm just going to turn it right side out, and I like to use my little stuffing tool, and I just push it out. There we go. Now we'll do row 4 together. So remember, we have 10 stitches, so we're just going to single crochet 10 stitches around. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So go ahead and finish rounds 5 through 18. Then you can go ahead and fasten off and leave a long tail because we're going to be using it to sew the hand, the arm, to the body. One thing to note about the arms and stuffing is that I'm actually going to leave these completely unstuffed. I do have the little magic ring tail stuffed down into the hand, but If you are going to stuff the arm, just stuff the little hand part and stuff it lightly. Maybe even go up to about a third of the way up, but I would not do 2/3 of the arm because it will create an amigurumi that looks like this, where their arms can never lay flat. So let's go ahead and sew on our little arms, and we're going to be joining them right here. This is row 49, and this is right on the side of the body. And I like to line up the arms so that they line up with the leg, so that they are just basically right here at the leg. I think that looks the best. Now, the most important thing is you want the thumb to go towards the front. You want it to face the front. Now, here I have my little arm, and I have found that if I just take the yarn, my needle, to the front of the little arm piece, it makes sewing this on just a little bit easier. Now, I am going to go back through to the back, through these front loops and the loops in the back, just to get myself started. I could pin this if I wanted to, but I'm pretty confident I can do this without pinning. We'll see. So now I'm just going to go across horizontal on the body. And then I'm going to go through those loops in the back, loops in the front. Then again, go back through the loops in the front and the back. And then catch the stitches here on the body. Oops, and one of our little ends just popped through. And that happens from time to time. So let me deal with that real quick. Okay. And then I'm going to go back through my stitches on the arm. And then I'm going to basically cut those stitches in half here so that I can get right to the edge of the arm. And I just make sure before I completely add it on that I like exactly where it is. And then I go back down into the body all the way to the back. And then if I am feeling like I really need to secure this very well, I will go back and redo it a couple of times. That way I feel like it's not coming undone no matter what. So we're going to go ahead and make the last body part, and that is the tail. And we're going to start with the black color, and we're going to make a magic ring. And we're going to make 6 single crochet in the magic ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then we're going to take our tail and close it. So for round 1, we're just going to do 1 single crochet. We're going to mark that first stitch like always. And then we're going to increase in the next stitch. And we're just going to repeat that around. 1 single crochet, increase, 1 single crochet, increase. And you'll have 9 stitches at the end of this round. For round 2, we're going to single crochet in each one of the 9 stitches. But at the end of this round, we're going to change to the orange color. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. It is always so hard to see with a dark colored yarn. Okay, I'm glad to be switching over to the orange now. My little tail is curling in on itself, so I'm turning it right side out, and I'm going to pull that magic ring. Super closed. All right, for round 3, we're going to do 2 single crochet increase, and we're going to do that 3 times. And we'll have 12 stitches at the end of this round. 1, 2, increase. 1, 2, increase. And 1, 2, and our final increase. Now before moving on, I'm just going to deal with our little color change here. I'm going to cut the black yarn and then tie these ends together. There we go. For rounds 4 through 8, you are just going to single crochet in each one of our 12 stitches. So go ahead and finish these 5 rounds, 4 through 8, and we're going to meet back for round 9. For round 9, we're going to do 2 single crochet, and then we're going to decrease. And we'll do that 2 times. Nope, we're going to do that 3 times, and we'll have 9 stitches at the end. One, 2, decrease. 1, 2, decrease. There we go. And then 1, 2, and decrease. So now we're going to just lightly stuff the end of the tail. We're not going to add very much, just a little bit to give it some shape. I'm going to add just a little bit more. I actually think that's a little bit too much. So I'm going to take just a little bit out. Okay. For round 10, we are just going to single crochet in each stitch. We have 9 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Now we're doing our last round, round 11, and we're doing 1 single crochet, decreasing. 1, and decrease. 1, decrease. 1, and decrease. All right, so we're going to leave a nice long tail so that we can sew this to the body, but we are not going to be sewing this to the body right now. We're going to go ahead and move on to the dress, and there'll be a little hole in the back of the dress, and that's going to be our guide for where we're going to place the tail. So we're finally to the dress. This is my favorite part. I love making the clothing, and I'm using this really pretty little blue color, but use whatever color you want for your little Felicity Fox. And we're going to start off with a slip knot, and we're going to chain 31. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. So we're going to be working into the second chain from the hook. Remember, our loop doesn't count. Here's our first chain. This is our second chain, and we're going to single crochet. So I like to go into the top loop and the back bump. That's just how I like to do it. And just make a single crochet. So we're going to do that all the way across. We're going to have 30 stitches in total. So go ahead, single crochet in each one of your remaining chains, and we will meet back for the next step. Okay, so we are starting row 2, and what we're going to do is we're going to chain 1 and we're going to turn our work. So we're going to start in our first single crochet, and we are going to do 4 single crochet, and then we're going to increase. 2, 3, and 4. Then we will increase just by making 2 single crochet in that stitch. And we're going to repeat that all the way across, 4 single crochet, increase. And at the end of this round, we're going to have 36 stitches. 2, 3, 4, and increase. So go ahead and finish that pattern all the way across, and we'll meet back for row 3. We're starting row 3, and we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. And we're going to do 6 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now we're going to chain 7. We're making the armhole. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then we're going to skip 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then starting in the 8th stitch, we're going to make 10 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now we're going to chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. We'll skip 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And starting in that 8th stitch, we will make 6 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. And we're going to start off by doing 5 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now we're going to increase. This is the last stitch before our chain. And then we're going to do 7 single crochet across our chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now we're going to do another increase in that next stitch. Increase. Then we're going to do 8 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now we're going to increase again. And then we're going to do 7 single crochet across the chain. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this last one is hard to get sometimes. 7. Now we're going to increase again. And we're going to do 5 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, we're moving on to row 5. We're going to chain 1 and we're going to turn. And what we're going to do now is we're just going to do 4 single crochet, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we're going to increase. Then we will repeat that all the way across. 2, 3, and 4, and we're going to increase. So continue that pattern all the way across, and at the end of this round, you'll have 48 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Increase. We finished round 5, so we're going to chain 1 and turn. So for row 6, we're going to do 7 single crochet, and we're going to increase. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then we're going to increase. And you're going to repeat that all the way across, and at the end of row 6, you're going to have 54 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and increase. After round 6, you should have 54 stitches. We're going to chain 1 and turn. And these are the next 2 rows, rows 7 and 8. You're just going to single crochet in each one of those stitches. And at the end of each row, you're going to chain 1 and turn. So go ahead, finish rows 7 and 8, chain 1 and turn, and meet me back for round 9. No, we're not round, row. We're starting round 9, and I told you to chain 1 and turn, but I actually don't want you to chain 1 and turn. So if you turned, just turn back and undo your chain. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take both of our ends here, and we're going to overlap our right side over the left side. And we're just going to count 4 stitches here on, this is the beginning, over here on the left. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And what we're going to do is we're just going to single crochet. Well, actually what we need to do is we need to get our yarn in the back. What we're going to do is we're just going to count our stitches over here on the left-hand side. 1, 2, 3, and in the 4th one, we're just going to single crochet to join. Now we are going to mark that as our new first stitch of the round. And we're just going to single crochet in each one of the stitches that we have left, and you should have 51 in total. So now we're joined. So we are just going to be working in the round for the rest of the little dress. So go ahead and finish this round, and we'll meet back for round 10. So now we are joined, and we're going to be working rounds 10 through 13. That's 4 rounds in total, and we're just going to be single crocheting in each one of our 51 stitches. So let's meet back after you finish round 13. And we'll meet back for round 14. For round 14, we are going to start making the hole for the tail. And what we're going to do is we're just going to single crochet 49 stitches, and then we're going to chain 2 and skip 2. So let's just go ahead, single crochet 49, and then we will make the tail hole. And we want to center that tail hole right in the back center of the dress. So right in this area. I've crocheted 49 stitches and I've got 2 stitches left right here in our round, and I'm going to chain 2. We're going to skip those 2 stitches, but then for round 15, we're skipping the first 3 stitches of this round. So we're actually going to chain 3 more. 1, 2, and 3. So basically we have 5 chains. We're going to skip 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we are going to single crochet in each one of the remaining stitches. So this is where this gets a little bit complicated because we do need to move our stitch marker here. So this is in the 3rd stitch. And so we just look at our chains, 1, 2, 3. That is going to be our new beginning of our round. Well, it's not the new beginning. It's just that the beginning of the round is now on the chain. So let me count that again. 1, 2, and 3 right here. So I'll just go ahead, finish this round with single crochets, and we'll meet back for round 16. So for rounds 16 through 22, we're just going to single crochet in every single one of our stitches. Now, I did want to show you, I'm still on round 15. I haven't actually finished it yet. I have 2 stitches left here. And for the tail hole, I actually just like going into the actual hole itself. I don't want to go into the chains. I just think it makes it look a little bit neater and cleaner. So I did 2. I need to do 3 more across this chain. I'm taking out my stitch marker because this is the next, oops. This is the first stitch in the round. That was 1, 2, and 3. And so we're just going to finish rounds 16 through 22, that's 7 rounds in total, just by single crocheting in each one of the stitches. So let's meet back after that, and we will move on to the next step. All right, now it's time to add our sleeves, and I typically like to add them right here at the back in the corner. We're just going to use the exact same color that we did for the dress, and I am starting with a slip knot. Now, what I like to do is called a standing single crochet. So instead of doing the join and chain, I don't really like that. So I just come in and I bring up a loop and pull through, and there's my single crochet. I think it looks neater and it's just all around easier. All right, so let's mark that stitch. And what we're going to do is we're going to be doing 16 single crochet around the sleeve. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now we're here on our end here. So I'm just going here. 8. And now I'm going to count and make sure I know where to put my next stitches. Yep, Okay. Nine, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So now you're going to do rounds 2 through 8, so that's 7 rounds, and you're just going to single crochet in each one of the 16 stitches. And I like to leave my tail here, and at the end, if I end up with any little holes, any openings, I just like to use it to close it up. So go ahead, finish rounds 2 through 8, and then fasten off and weave in your ends, and we will get started on the next part. So what we're going to be doing now is working our little collar. It's a little Peter Pan collar. And what we're going to do is we're going to be working along our edge right up here. And I'm going to be joining, I'm using a white color, and we're working from the back. So you can see this is the opening in the back, and there's the front. And what we're going to do is we're just going to slip stitch in each one of these chain stitches. This is the leftover of our initial chain. So when you're making these slip stitches, you actually want to do them a bit on the looser side, because if you were to use your regular tension, it's actually going to be super tight. Slip stitches can be really tight stitches. So I would do them just a little bit looser than you typically would do any other stitch. And so we're just going to work around the entire edge here. Okay, so you should have 30 slip stitches all the way around. And what we're going to do now is we're going to chain 2, 1 and 2. And we're going to turn our work, and we are going to be working into the back loop. So our V's are facing this way, and this is the back loop. And we're going to be double crocheting. So we've done our first one. Now we are going into the second stitch just into that back loop and making a double crochet. And so you're going to do 14 of those in total. And we already did the first double crochet, or the chain that we did counts as your first double crochet. And we're going to be doing a total of 14 double crochets plus your chain is 15, and we're actually going to stop. And we want that to be right in the center of our work, because we're making the little Peter Pan, and we're going to split the collar right here. Okay, so now we are actually going to fasten off right now. And I am going to pull this through and make a tiny little knot. I know I normally don't do that, but I don't want this to come undone. And now we're going to add the yarn right into the very next stitch. So we're looking for that very next slip stitch, and we're just going to join right here, and I'm going to make a little slip stitch, tighten my tail, and we're going to chain 2. That's going to act as our first double crochet, and then we're just going to double crochet in the back loops of each one of the additional stitches. So go ahead and finish this up, weave in your ends, and we will meet back for the rest of the details. So we're going to add a little detail of the white around the sleeves and the bottom hem of the dress. And I'm going to join the yarn on the underside of the sleeve. And we're just going to do a slip stitch border around, just like we did on the collar. And we're going into those back loops. I think it just adds a nice little detail to the dress. So go ahead and do this around both sleeves and the hem of the dress, and then we will meet back to add the tail. This is the way that I finish off the little slip stitch border, and I think it looks the best. And I just fasten off here and I pull it through on the last stitch. Now I'm just going to go ahead and weave in the first end, and I just pull it through to the back. So for our end slip stitch, I'm going to just go into the top of our first slip stitch. To complete it, and then I just weave in the ends going in this direction. And I feel like it joins it. It makes it look fairly neat. And there you go. It's not perfect, but it looks pretty good. And it's underneath the arm, so you're really never going to see it. I've gone ahead and added our final details, and these are totally optional. I embroidered these little V's across the tights. I just like the way that looks. I also just added little shoelaces here, and I did a slip stitch border around those front loops from the boot there and there. But what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and put on our little dress, because we're going to add our tail, and the hole that we made for the tail is actually going to be the placement, and we're going to use that so that we get it in the exact right place. So I have not closed the back yet, which I will soon, but we see our little hole here, and what I do is I just get a pin here and a pin here, and now I know exactly where to place it. And I just take the dress off because I find it so much easier to do this without being encumbered by that little dress. So I'm just going to add the tail right here. And I'm just going to move that. These are uneven. Just move that right there. And just take this up. There we go. How cute! So now I am going to go ahead and put our little dress on. Look how sweet she looks. Oh my goodness. All right. So now I'm going to tuck that flap back there. And for me, I am never going to take this dress off. So I just seam this closed in the back. But if you wanted to add a snap or a button closure, you could do that as well. Whatever works best for your situation. But I do not want to take this off. And so it's a little bit clumsy trying to sew this closed, but just do your best. There we are. And then I'm just going to weave in that end. And trim it closed. Now, here's what you can do for the collar if it's popping up. You can block this lightly, just wet it a little bit and place it down and put some pins here. That usually will do the trick. You can also use a tiny bit of fabric glue. That works as well if the collar just keeps popping up. So now it's time to make her little bow to give her the final touch. This is the most exciting part for me, are the little details and those finishing touches. It just brings it all to life. So we are going to start with a slip knot and we're going to chain 40. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, and 40. We are now going to join in the round. And the way I like to do it is I take my chain and turn it almost like a C shape to make sure it's not twisted. Okay, and now we are going to join in the round with just a single crochet. And I'm going to mark that stitch as the first stitch in the round. So for rounds 1 through 4, you're going to single crochet in each one of those 40 stitches, and we will meet back to make it into a little bow and put it on Felicity's little head. All right, so I've made my 4 rounds, and basically we just have like a little tube right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slip stitch to that first stitch, and I'm going to leave myself, I don't know, it's probably a couple of feet long, maybe 24 inches. I would rather have too much yarn than too little for this. Okay, so I'm going to fold our little tube here in half. And I'm going to take this over, and we have our tail here. And I'm just going to start wrapping it around quite tightly, but making sure that this doesn't twist and that these loops are approximately the same size. All right, that looks pretty good. All right, so you can place your bow anywhere you want. I just happen to like it kind of right here over that left ear. And what I'm going to do here is I am going to secure our end here, the one that we're going to be using to sew this on. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to there we go. I just don't want it to move around. So I'm actually going to use both of these tails. Even though this one is pretty short, I'm still going to use it to secure the bow on. Just making sure everything looks nice and neat and even. And now this is the fun part. Deciding where to put her little bow. I think this is exactly where I'm going to put it. So I'm going into the head, and then I'm going into those loops. Look how adorable. I just love it so much. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right, so I'm going to do that a couple more times. Make sure to weave in that end as well, and we're done. I'm so excited. Actually, there's one little thing that I'm going to do. I'm going to add a tiny little bit of little blush right here because I think it adds so much. You can do that so many different ways. I have that in different videos, but I use a cream-based blush and a little paintbrush, and it just works. It works perfectly. I hope you enjoyed making your Felicity Fox as much as I did. And if you would like to share yours with me, you can always tag me on Instagram and Facebook at Elise Rose Crochet.